I don't know what to do with my hands.
Oh yeah, that's going on. The very beginning. That's going on in the intro.
Nice. Okay. Well, the other day we talked about like insecurities and stuff, and I started telling y'all about like my childhood and because that like kind of triggered something.
Oh yeah.
And so I started talking about like how my mom like abandoned me and my brothers, and because like my insecurity had always been like something was wrong with me, like I felt like any relationship I ever had, was from like I had this problem with if they didn't like if things went south, it was always reverted back to something was wrong with me because, like I said, when I was 6 months old, my mom abandoned me and my two brothers, and so from that point, like my dad raised us, and I think she did drugs while my brother was while she was pregnant with my brother, and he has like trouble with his esophagus and stuff like that. Like he wasn't born. He can, to this day he still has trouble eating and stuff like that. So it's like, but like at the time, like growing up, like you just didn't realize, you just thought like from that age you thought, well, something's just wrong with me,
Yeah.
like just felt like defective, right? So it's kind of hard for me to talk about, but especially like when I talk about my brothers. But so that happened. She pretty much deserted. Well, she was doing drugs, and come to find out, like she would leave us like by ourselves all the time anyway. And like my grandma would come over, and my grandpa would like kick down the door, and we'd be in there like hungry and dirty diapers and stuff like that. Because my dad would be like on the drilling rig or whatever, so like he was out of town for weeks at a time. So and then so she pretty much left, hightailed it. She was bad on drugs and stuff like that, which like at that time I didn't know. I just thought.
And how old were you?
Well, I was 6 months old, when that happened, but I was 10 before I actually ever like seen her. So
And how old's your brother?
he's a year older than me, and then
Oh,
I have
gotcha.
another one that's 3 years older than me. So yeah, so we were pretty young,
Yeah.
but
And did your older brother? I guess he saw your mom through everything. I guess drugs and. Which did she do drugs around? Do you remember? I mean, I know you couldn't remember
Yeah.
your 6 months, but did your brother
I'm
like
sure.
talking to
But
him?
he was
I mean,
only like 3. I don't think he remembers like
Oh, yeah,
any of
gotcha.
it. So he was probably 3.5 whenever she left. So
Gotcha.
so yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if he remembers that. To be honest, I've never really asked him. So
And where were you born? Where were you guys born?
Andrews. I was born in Andrews, and I think they were born in Seminole. I'm not sure. So we were like born around here and raised here. So yeah.
How long you been here in Seminole?
I left when I was 18, and then I was here for 18 years, and then I left. Or I was actually 17 when I graduated, and then so I came back, here and there, and then I got married and went to Midland, lived in Midland for 7 or 8 years, and then came back about 15 years ago. So I've been here for pretty much all my life.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And are you still part of your parents' life?
Oh yeah. We have a good relationship now. So, like, we had a rough relationship like growing up, like with me and my dad. Me and my dad got remarried twice, and so just had a rough relationship with my stepmom and my dad pretty much. So it was just one thing after the other. We didn't get along, so it was just rough. And she I love sports.
Yeah.
And so that was one of my outs was like sports, because like I did t-ball, or not t-ball, but baseball and little dribblers and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden they were like, well, you can't play sports anymore, So it was like devastating, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like didn't really have that as an out anymore. So yeah, we just had a rough relationship growing up, and then God has recently healed that relationship, so we get along really good. So yeah,
dude, that's good, man. To still have that relationship and that bond, with your parents. I know talking to some other guys, they don't have that relationship. Their dad may be even in town, and they still don't have that relationship, man. And that hurts because, like, I know I don't have a real good relationship with my mom, and I know I should, and it falls on me, and I know that, and and my mom knows that I love her, but even just having a dad, I didn't have that father figure. So when people still have their dads and stuff, and they don't want to go and reach out, and maybe it's just a hi or just hey, just how you doing.
Yeah,
it's just like, man, it hurts me because I'm like, dang it, I still wish I had that opportunity.
Yeah,
but I don't. But man, dude, that's awesome, man. I'm proud of you.
Thank you
for doing that, for keeping that relationship, man.
Yeah.
How did that affect you growing up? When your mom abandoned you, with friends, and then also relationship wise too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much every relationship I had was, I felt like I was needy, right? Because it's like, you don't have a relationship with your mom. You feel like, she leaves, you pretty much convince yourself that, there's something wrong with you. And so when you have even friends, like when friends like didn't want to hang out with you, or, just was bad friends or whatever, then you were like, well, why don't they like me? So it all reverted back to, hey, what's wrong with me? Am I defective? What? Because when you're young, it's easy to just, the enemy like creeps in your ear, right? And just people tell you things. Kids are mean. People stab you in the back, and not having a mom, or like we really didn't have a very loving household either. So it's like we really didn't have a close relationship with anybody. So it's like I needed like friends all the time, and so it's like I was codependent. Like, hey man, need friendship, if a girl liked me, it's like jump on it, right? Didn't matter, so yeah, I mean, it affected me huge, and my brothers. I think one of them, like, I think he still struggles with like codependency, and stuff. So
I'm guessing too, you had trouble trusting women, trusting girls while you're growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just I couldn't trust anybody really.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was hard to, if I did have a girlfriend, and man, I was so destructive, with my relationships, just because I didn't, I didn't trust, and I didn't know. It was just, I always thought, what's wrong with me? That's always what played in the back of my head was something's wrong with me, and so yeah, when you get friends or bad girlfriends, instead of just realizing, they're just bad friends, or, they're just people fail you, you always revert back to, I always reverted back to, hey, I'm defective,
Yeah.
And that's not, that's not who I was, but that's who I thought I was.
Yeah.
When
you were, let's say junior high, did you play any sports then? Or were you still out of sports?
Yeah, I mean, so I was very small, and so basketball is a technical sport, and so unless you've been playing all those years, you're not going to catch up at that point. And so I tried out, didn't make the team, played football, got hurt like pretty much every time I got in the game, I got hurt, So it was like, didn't have that. Ran track, just really didn't have much motivation. I was fast, but just didn't have a whole lot of motivation,
No.
didn't really believe in myself and stuff like that. So it was hard. It was hard growing up. Like, I had a pretty dark childhood. But like I say, I overcame a lot of that by God pretty much showed me who I am
Yeah.
instead of, who I believed I was back then, So,
When did God come into your life?
well, I got baptized when I was in Midland. I was married to my first wife, just had Kelby, my son, and we were going to Church of Christ. And Church of Christ is real conservative, right? So, and nothing against Church of Christ. I love Church of Christ, and I love singing a cappella and all that. But I got baptized. Felt like, I just didn't know. Like, I didn't know God. You know what I mean? Like, I've never really knew how to have a relationship with anybody.
Yeah.
So, like, having a relationship with somebody that I couldn't even touch or see or feel, like, I felt him in my heart, but that was it,
Yeah.
And it was like, I had a lot of anger still. So it was like, because I was like, where were you, So.
No, I understand, man. I understand. Talking to you before getting to know you, you said you had a pretty a wild, even I guess when you were wild in high school, getting
Oh, yeah.
in trouble with the law and different things like that. You wanna share something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I was angry kid, rebellious, just like I said, my out. I had to find an out, and my out was friends and partying. So I was very bad in school. I had extreme ADD. So, and back then they didn't really address it. They just, you just lazy, whatever.
Yeah.
So my out was go get drunk, party, hang out with friends, and I think I had 7 MIPs before I turned 21. Was arrested several times. Yeah, I mean, one particular time, I got all liquored up and drove through a park and ran over a bunch of trees and porta potties and all kinds of stuff, and ran from the cops. Got, they caught me the next day, and turned out it was a felony, because of I did so much damage, which it ended up being adjudicated, but spent a couple of nights in jail, and then after that it was just I was still partying, still doing dumb stuff.
Yeah.
I was on probation and still doing it, and we were working. I was 21. Well, yeah, I was 21, and we were going to the bar at Hobbs every night, and me and a friend of mine named Darren, and he ended up dying in a car wreck on the way back from Hobbs one night, and I was there. I was following him when it happened, so that was pretty rough. So I don't know if anything's worse than seeing a good friend of yours, being zipped up in a body bag.
Oh man.
But yeah, that was pretty rough.
Yeah.
So that hit me. I think I literally went home, and this is crazy. I went home and sat on my couch, and I don't think I moved for 2 days, literally after that happened. So it was pretty rough. And that's when I decided I was gonna change my life, which so yeah.
The friends that you had, did they know, let's say, not to say you were fake, but did they know the real Kyle? Did they know what you were struggling with, what you had to deal with in your childhood? Or did you pretty much just kind of hide it?
Yeah, they knew what they knew I had a rough childhood. They just I don't think they knew how it affected me, or even like that they wanted to know, because I would try to talk about it, but I didn't know how, and like it just seemed like nobody wanted to hear it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it just never. I don't know. I just never had dealt with it, ever. So
yeah.
But
did you ever try talking to anybody else? Maybe uncles, aunts, or your older brothers? I guess
no
teachers.
No, I had my grandmother. Like she was, she helped raise me. So she was there for me when a lot of people weren't. But it was kind of a struggle because, she could only be there so much. And, I'm glad I had her, though. I think without her, I would have not been, I don't know if I'd have made it.
Yeah.
So.
No, man, grandmas are the best.
Mm-hmm.
They're always
Absolutely.
there for you.
Yes.
You said that there was something, I guess you had something darker. Was there something darker that happened in the past that you'd like to talk about, or is it just?
It was just. Yeah, it was just. I don't know. I just remember in junior high. I think junior high was my roughest time. I don't know why. It was just struggled with grades. Struggled with friends, and just, I don't know. Felt like I didn't have anybody, So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know the feeling. Well, I mean, in junior high, I would say that was probably my worst year too, because I was bullied a lot in junior high, but I had a cousin who I would always just say, "Hey, man, so and so's picking on me," and he would go and deal with it. But even at that, it was just.
Yeah, I was picked on. I was little, little. I was, when I was in high school, when I graduated high school, I was probably 130 pounds, soaking wet. And just tiny, skinny. Yeah. And junior high, I was short, skinny, and man, didn't take much for, to beat me,
Yeah.
I couldn't even defend myself, so it was pretty rough, but yeah, I got picked on a lot. In high school, I got jumped a lot. Got beat up several times, and man, just anger,
Yeah.
I finally, I think I got to a point where I was gonna, if somebody picked on me, I was gonna, do my hardest to not get hurt, and because before that, I would just take the beating,
Yeah.
And I got beat up so bad one time that, man, I just wanted to kill somebody, And after that, I never really got beat up again. I got in a lot of fights, but, they were gonna know. They knew, that I was meant business, So I didn't take it anymore, and I'd fight anybody, didn't matter. I'd fight 2 or 3 guys at a time. Me and my brothers got jumped all the time, and I was ready to go.
Yeah.
So it didn't. I was just angry, always. The past, everything I was just angry about was my mom leaving me, just having that rough relationship with my parents, and I don't know, just man, just bitter. So
yeah. At what age did you have Kelby?
So yeah, I was 22 when he was born.
Mm.
Yeah.
So your friend died when you were 21?
Yeah, and then I uh, got married like probably 6 months after that was when I married Kelby's mom, and then she got pregnant. We moved to Midland. Had Kelby before we moved to Midland. Moved to Midland, and yeah, you talk about. I thought my life was hard, and then it got real hard then because my marriage was really really bad. So yeah, I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to have a relationship with anybody,
Yeah.
much less a marriage, and I don't think she did either. And then we were trying to raise a kid with no help, and it just it was tough. We think Kelby saw a lot of things that he shouldn't have. We fought a lot, and we ended up getting a divorce after 7 years of marriage. So, and that was hard too. So.
Yeah. And what about did you have people to confide in when you were married? Did you have friends, or did you ever ask for help? You said like, "Hey, man, I need help with my marriage," or
Nope.
nothing? No,
No. I mean, I had like friends from church,
Yeah.
but it didn't help. Like, I don't know. My family was in Seminole. No help there. Her family was pretty much no help. So it was like, yeah, we'd have, we went to counseling, but it just, I don't know. Like I say, I never had a relationship with God,
Yeah.
until here recently. And so I didn't know how to have a relationship. I really didn't. And a lot of it's my fault. A lot of it's her fault, But yeah, it was a bad marriage. I mean, she cheated on me, and then after that, broke my heart, and then I just started cheating on her, and it was like, man, it was like a drug, like I just, it felt like the more I could hurt her, or the more I could, the less I would get hurt. So, and it was just hard to break that habit. Like, you just wanted to, like, that's all I wanted to do from then on. It was like, because I didn't want to get hurt anymore. So, but the biggest thing that broke my heart was Kelby, because, like, my biggest fear was, I mean, my mom left me, so that hurt me. So my biggest fear was him not having a good mom, And she was not that great. I mean, she was okay. I mean, she loved him. I know she loves him. And it was just that, in my opinion at the time, she wasn't a great mom.
Yeah.
She had mental issues or something, and it was tough. And so, yeah, that was a pretty dark time for me too. But
at that time, were you still not talking to your parents, or were you already kind of starting to talk to them?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to them, but like our relationship was
Still kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it was still rough, and yeah, I didn't have any, that relationship where I could just go and talk to them or whatever.
And what about your brothers? Y'all at that time, y'all still pretty close?
No, we weren't as close. It was like, man, I can't explain it. Me and my brothers were close when we were younger, but it was like, you just didn't want to like talk about things. Like we didn't know how.
No, yeah.
So it was like, you don't know how to talk about certain things when you never were taught to. So it was just like, yeah.
So in between there and then meeting, Dusty, what was your life like?
I mean, that was fast and furious. I mean, it was just working, and I was trying to see Kelby, and it was hard because in a breakup like that, it was a rough marriage. We pretty much hated each other.
Did she stay in town also, or did she move out of town? Or?
She lived there for a while, but then she moved out of town. So it was she made it hard for me to see Kelby, which was like very hard on me. And I had to go to court. She filed some protective order on me, and then I had to like go fight that just so I could see my son, and then so that was tough because lawyers are like, you go to the lawyers and they just want to take your money, and they don't really want to help you. So it's like the more they can drag it out, the better for them. And I couldn't find a lawyer that would actually care about me, so it was like, couldn't even go to court. It was like I'd spend all this money and nothing ever got done. And so we finally like got the protective order done, and then I was able to get Kelby when I was supposed to, and ended up losing my house, losing a lot of my tools and everything in the divorce, just because she was supposed to give them back but she didn't. And so I lost a lot of stuff, and which I didn't really care, but just it's like a death. When you get a divorce, it's like a death. It's like you lose so much. So
how did that affect Kelby?
Oh man, I think it was probably better for him because we were fighting so much, and it would have been better if she would have just like got along, just like, but it made it worse, and then so like we were constantly fighting over him, and so just it was horrible. And she wasn't doing anything, like she wasn't taking care of him. I had to take him to the doctor, and then I had to fight her on that, and stuff like that. So it was rough on him, like really rough. And I didn't do everything right. I probably should have let a lot of stuff go, but like he would come home with eczema, and stuff, and I'd freak out and take him to the doctor, and I'd call her and be like, hey, you need to take care of him, and just start a fight, you know what I mean? So he was constantly like in that, like just fighting all the time, So it was hard on him.
During that time, did you think, like, man, I want to go back to drinking, or,
Yeah, I mean, I still drank during that time, like not like I had, not like I was when I was 21 and younger, but yeah, I mean, I would drink, on the weekends or something, and too much, but...
Drugs, you ever get into
No,
drugs?
Never got into drugs. No, just beer and whiskey, that's about it. So, but yeah, I drank a lot up until about 4 or 5 years ago. I stopped drinking. So, yeah.
Yeah. So what age did you meet Dusty?
Yeah, I was, how old was I? 28, 29, something like that.
Oh, okay.
And then my mom died that year, my real mom. So, like, when I started dating Dusty, that's when my mom had passed away. So that was about 15 years ago, because that's when we got married. So I think June will be 15 years when she passed away. So. And
how was your relationship, when your mom passed away? How was y'all's relationship?
I mean, it was rough. She tried to like, so she tried to like come back into my life, later on, and like I never really forgave her, which I wish I would have, Like I wish I could have a conversation with her right now,
Yeah.
After realizing, what she went through, and what was, drugs, what drugs do to people, and how it affects their mind, and stuff like that. Like, and knowing God, and knowing how God forgives me, and like, I the only way I was able to heal my relationship with my parents was for me to, like, I would say I forgave them, but like I never really forgave them. Like I thought I did. Like I would say, oh, I'll forgive them, but I still have bitterness in my heart. You know what I mean? And everybody be like, well, you got to forgive them. I'm like, oh, I don't know how. I mean, I've said I forgive them, but and so we had, like, somebody told me, hey, you need to pray for them. You need to pray for God to bless, your mom and your dad. And, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to do that. I don't want, I mean, I'm bitter,
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, if you pray, so I actually, at that point, I had a relationship with God. And so that's when I told God, I said, okay, God, I forgive them, and I want, man, this is hard to talk about. I mean, I hope this helps somebody, because I hate talking about this stuff, but
No, it will, man. Guarantee it.
I want, I want you to bless my mom, my stepmom, and I want you to just, heal her, and just bless her tremendously, and just love on her, and I just pray for her. And it was like that instant, like just like that, like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And man, I mean, it seemed like the next day, we were like having a relationship. So, and I mean, all my life, I'm 40 years old. I mean, at this point I was 39, 40 years old when this happened. And so, like, that's a testimony to God right there. Like, he just praying, like, for God to bless that person. Like, you don't want, like, when you're bitter towards somebody, you don't want them to have a blessing, And so when you pray to God to bless them, then that lifts that bitterness. And it's like, wow. And God healed it. Like, he immediately healed that relationship. And we've had like an amazing relationship ever since. So I wish my mom was still here, so, I could do that with her, but yeah.
No.
So.
Heck yeah, man. Dude, I'm proud of you, man. A lot of people won't do that. I'm telling you, man. What you did it's awesome, man.
It took me long enough.
Oh yeah, but man, it's still, man.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of you. I know a lot of people are proud of you. Even for opening up about that. I promise you will. People, you are gonna impact somebody with your testimony. I guarantee it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I just want to say, like, you're more than who you think you are. Like. So I thought I was broken. I thought I was defective or something was wrong with me. Like, that's just how I thought. I don't know. Blame it on weakness. I don't know what it was, but I mean, you're not. God created you to be somebody, and he doesn't make mistakes. So everybody has a purpose, and I feel like here lately, I've been into this running thing, and like inflicting physical pain on myself and stuff like that. And it's like, it's really more about when I can do things that, like when I can do things that I once thought was impossible. Like, I ran a 52-mile marathon, right, and finished it. And like, that was last year. I mean, when you do things like that, it pretty much it helps you to throw away the way you used to think about yourself. you know, throw those thoughts in the trash.
Yeah.
And just be like, because it's always there. Like those thoughts come back, you know, all the time. So, but it's more than that, you know. I mean, life's gonna hit you. I don't care if you're 6 months old and your mom leaves you and you're just hit, sideswiped by every time you turn around, or you may be 30 years old, had a perfect childhood. Life's gonna get you. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's gonna come at you, and it's gonna test you. You know, and so it's gonna find your weakness. And to me, you know, everybody asks me, why do you train? You know, why do you do this? Why do you run so much or whatever? To me, physical training is like, there's so much pain and suffering and physical challenges. Like, I'm talking challenges, not going to the gym and, you know, picking up some dumbbells, you know, and lifting heavy or whatever. I'm talking like really challenging yourself, you know, who you are, and finding your weakness, you know, because everybody has a weakness.
Yeah.
You know, and mine is running. Like, I started running obstacle course races, and man, put me on an obstacle, I'll kill it. But make me run 13 miles. I mean, I ran Dallas Beast. It's 13-mile obstacle course race like 3 or 4 years ago. First time I ran a beast, and killed me, like crushed me, you know, and cramped up. You know, my whole body cramped up, couldn't run, couldn't even walk. I walked like the last 3 miles of the course. The next year, I went back and worked on my weaknesses, right? So I was like, my weakness is running. So I went back and ran every day for a whole year. Went back to that course, finished an hour, beat my time by an hour, and got first in my age group.
Heck yeah.
So it was like,
heck yeah.
You know, when you work on your weaknesses, like, it don't matter what it is, you know, running, you know, everybody has a weakness. Like, working on your strengths doesn't really help you. You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna change you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not gonna challenge you either. So when you find your weaknesses and you go back and you get tested, the weaknesses are gonna show you, you know, hey, you're not you're not this high and mighty guy, you know. And so it's humbling at the same time. And so, but my whole point is you know, there's so much, you know, pain and suffering and physical challenges that helps me deal with life. It's like the pain and suffering that I get out of life. And it also helps me become closer to God, because I mean, if you look in the Bible, you know, when people are in a lot of pain and just discomfort, you know what I mean, they would call on God, you know, and that's when they had their moments with God, like in prison, or, you know. And so doing that on a daily basis is like, I feel like I can be closer to God sometimes, you know. Yeah. Because it's like, you don't call on God when you're comfortable, you know what I mean? You call on him when you're uncomfortable. And yeah, it just helps me build that relationship and have more faith in him, and he helps me push myself a lot. So like, there's times when my mind is just destroying me, and it's like, you can't go anymore. You know. And man, you have a relationship with, when you have that relationship with God, and you know, you call on him for certain things, and sometimes he'll help you, sometimes he won't. And there's a lot of times when he does help you, it's like, wow, you know, it's a really, really big God moment in those times. And so like physical training is not for everybody, you know what I mean? But, you know, that's just what, for me, just, it's not only physical training, it's just going after your weakness and attacking it, you know, and doing something that makes you uncomfortable. Like this podcast, like, I don't like doing this, you know what I mean? Like, this is really uncomfortable for me, but this like, it goes back to, this is something that I need to do, you know, go out of my comfort zone. And, because the goal is to get better every day.
Yeah.
And so.
And in your testimony, man, it's powerful. People don't speak. Yeah, I understand. People are. It is uncomfortable to talk about your testimony sometimes, and I know it's very uncomfortable. But man, once you speak it, it's like power speaking out into the world, out into others. It's impacting others, man. That'll be like, dang.
Right.
And it changes. It changes the way people think, and and it's like, oh, well, I can get through this.
Right.
Like, man, this is helping me improve. And so, man, like, yeah, no, I understand, man.
Good.
But I am proud of you too for coming on here. I know we
Thanks.
talked before we came on here, and I know it was a last minute thing, but dude, I was excited to hear more of your testimony, because I know I've kind of heard bits and pieces of it anyway. So
yeah.
And I was gonna get to the running thing, and
yeah.
So when did you start running? When was like, oh, I just want to run, you know?
Yeah. So I was working out in the gym every day, right, and like just thought I was awesome. You know, I'm this bad dude that lifts every day. And Amanda had a 5K run, and I come out here and I'm like, I can run. I've never ran over a mile in my life. This was like 5-6 years ago. And she's like, yeah, 5K, that's 3 miles. I can do that. You know, no problem. Get out here, and I just get destroyed. Like, it totally destroyed me. And getting passed by people that I thought should never pass me, like, like was like, it hurt me, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, I'm not in shape, and like running is a huge weakness of mine. So that's when I decided to start running, like, because I was already in that mindset, like, I need to find weaknesses, you know? And that's when I realized, wow, you know, I think running will find a weakness. It don't matter who you are, what your fitness level is. You go run a 100-mile ultra marathon, you're gonna find a weakness somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I started running from then on. I started running, you know, maybe 3 days a week or whatever. Run as fast as I could, and then I'd have shin splints. Yeah, I didn't know had to do a lot of research on it, you know, so I wouldn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So I could actually run. And then I went to an obstacle course race, and that's when I found out, like, I still wasn't in very good shape, because those obstacle course races, like, I'm real competitive. So, like, I just want to go, you know, I want to beat whoever I think, like, is in my fitness level. I'm going to compete with them and stuff. And so, yeah, it beat me up, you know, chewed me up, spit me out. And so just go back to the drawing board, you know. I'd come back, and what I did was I would sign up for races, because I knew if I had those races coming up, I would train like really, really hard. Like, that's just who I am. And I think a lot of people are like that. Like, if you commit to something, like, and that's what I recommend. Like, if you are like wanting to like better yourself physically, like, find races, find something like any kind of challenge, physical challenge. Sign up for 3 of them, you know, and go do one, come back, train, go. I mean, you're gonna find you're gonna really figure out a lot about yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and you're gonna find out who you really are and what you're really capable of. Like, people don't know what they're capable of. Like, if you'd have told me 5 or 6 years ago that, hey, you're going to run a 52-mile marathon, I would have laughed at you. I would have been like, there's no possible way that's going to happen. Like, I'm not physically capable of doing that. Like, back then I wasn't.
Yeah.
So, like, we are really more capable of what we think we are. Like, our bodies they can do so much more. When you do something every day, you'll do things. Eventually, you'll be doing things that you never thought were possible. So that's when I started running, because I knew, like, that was the hardest thing I've ever done, you know, and to get better. And I figured out the only way to get better is to do things you're not good at, you know. And I'm still not good at running. I'm mediocre at best compared to a lot of people, but I have improved a whole lot. And it helps me, you know, running helps me with a lot of things, because, like I say, the physical, you know, the pain and suffering you go through when you're running, like, at some point or another, you're gonna suffer, you know, and you're self-inflicting that on your, you know, it's self-inflicted.
Yeah.
So it helps me with everything, you know what I mean?
Oh, heck yeah.
Life.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, that's good, man. I know I don't run as much. I try to anyway. But I know it is very painful.
Yeah.
For me, because I hate running, period. Like, I
Yeah.
don't like running anyway, but then.
Well, I was like that. Like, before I started running, like, I hate it, and sometimes I still hate it. You know?
Yeah. But man, it just, afterwards, the feeling afterwards is like, man, okay, well, maybe I can do this. You know, maybe I can push myself a little more. But even like you said, just the research you showed me, and you know, just with the running style, the shoes, you know, the pace. I mean, everything about just running. There's a lot to it than just go out there and run. You know.
Yeah.
And man, it has helped me for sure. You know, like I said, I don't enjoy running, but I do run. Just, I don't know why I run. I just do though.
Yeah.
I wanted to also get back to you and Dusty. You know, when I guess she had a son.
Yeah.
And of course you have a son. How was that raising somebody else's son?
It's hard. Like, it's real hard. The good thing about that was his dad was he was very, like, we got along great. Like, he was good. Like, he was on board, you know, with discipline, you know, everything. He'd come see him regularly, take care of him, you know. So that relationship with his dad, like, made it really good.
Yeah.
You know, and he'd back me up, you know. So, like, as long as I was fair to him, Branson, like, he would, you know, as far as the discipline went, that's crucial. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have that with Kelby. You know, we didn't have their good. We tried. You know, I mean, eventually we were like, hey, you know, let's try this. You know, let's bygones be bygones, and let's you know, do what's right for Kelby. But she wasn't there yet. You know, just never got on board. So it was tough. I mean, raising somebody else's kid, like, I just, you know, I always told myself I will treat him the way I want to treat, you know, the way, just like I would my own son, you know. And so.
And how did they get along?
They got along good. Like, they were pretty much complete opposites. So it was like, they didn't fight or nothing, you know. So it was like, they got along good.
Was the relationship pretty good at first, or did you, you know, how, I guess what you carried over into your last relationship, did that also carry over into this?
Yeah. I mean, we had a rough marriage at first. So, yeah, up until about 5 years ago, or 4 or 5, till, you know, we'll make a long story short, we went to Transformation Church, about 4 or 5 years ago, and that's when I really felt God, you know? Like, I felt like God was in me, and I went on a lake trip and like, man, just had some good God downloads, and that's when I really started having a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And so that's when our relationship, like he healed that. And so yeah, but we had it. Yeah, I mean, everything from my past up until about 5 years ago destroyed everything. Every relationship I've ever
Yeah.
had, and
Yeah.
it was just like I've been running from it, you know. And not like the other day when I've never really like told anybody my insecurities. So like the other day when y'all were asking what our insecurities were, that's when it just triggered that, like, man, I am insecure. Like, I really think, like, even now, like, sometimes I think, man, something's wrong, you know. Like, I'll have people, like, coming in and out of my life, and I'm like, man, why do they not like me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel defective. So like I say, that whole, from childhood, you know, has just affected everything until I got the relationship with God, you know. And so I didn't have, you know, they didn't take me to church. I didn't know anything, you know, just ignorant to who Jesus was, really. Like, I knew he was Son of God and he was our Savior, but just really didn't know what love was, you know. And so, but yeah. So yeah, we had it rough, really rough.
So now, man, you look at yourself. You're serving in the church.
Yeah.
You inspire people probably when you don't even know it, maybe. Because I know a lot of people see you run. I'm pretty sure everybody in town has seen you run because you you run everywhere, man. But it's just the thing, like, man, one day I can be there. One day, you know, and even
you can.
Even, man, just to say, man, hey, I'm proud of you for the way you're raising your sons, you know.
Yeah.
I know Kelby and, oh my gosh, I forgot.
Branson,
yes. I'm sorry, Branson. Right. I am so sorry. I knew your name. I am sorry. But you know, watching them, because they were in youth with us, man, you know, and just to see them grow, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's life changing, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you like how much I've changed over the past. I mean, I've just grown so much, me and my family, you know. So, and there's been rough times, but like it just seems like we'll have storms and we go through them, you know.
Yeah.
And we don't stay there, you know. It's like, man, before we just stay in a storm, you know. We just circle around in it and follow that storm around. And now, you know, we go through storms and we just get out of it, you know, with the help of God, you know. So it's like, yeah, I mean, he's definitely changed me and my family. And he's working, like, Kelby's he's at Victory Bible School, which is, wow. I mean, so proud of him. Branson's getting his master's degree. So, I mean, God's working in their lives right now. I know they have struggles. You know, everybody has struggles. But, you know, he's working. So, yeah. So, yeah, it's good.
And you and Dusty are also part of a marriage class, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And how has that affected you guys?
Oh, I mean, yeah, just we learn, like we're kind of leading or help lead the marriage class. So, man, like we learn something new every time we have anything. And I mean, we're like teaching a class, like we're like, you know, not teaching, but directing the class or whatever. So it's like every time we do one, we learn more and more, you know, on how to change ourselves, you know, and how to be a good spouse. So yeah, it's like helped us a lot. And I mean, there's just so much so much that I never knew, that God, like, he's like, he created marriage, and so it's like, I don't know. It's just you don't know how much God wants you to like how big that is for God, and it's like when you start realizing, that he created Adam and Eve, like, and like that's the first thing, one of the first things he created was marriage, so it's like it's huge, and it's not easy, and I mean, I got married thinking, I can do this, and thought it was easy. It's not. It's you need God, and you need skills. Like, it takes a lot of skills to be a good husband and a good wife. So, and you don't just get those skills out of the air, know. So yeah, definitely the Bible teaches you, but if you don't know what you're looking for, then you're not gonna get it. So
heck yeah, man. Dude, love it.
Thank you.
Love it, man. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on here again. Last minute. I know it was last minute. I know we had talked about even you being on here, but I know this was last minute, man. I'm sorry for that. But
nah, man, it's cool. It's all right.
It's been awesome hearing your testimony, and I'm sorry I didn't have an intro. We kind of just went into it, But like I said, right. I don't ever. This no holds is really never prepared. Like, not to say I'm not prepared, but Holy Spirit just flows the whole time. I usually just get questions the more you talk, and you just how we did just now, and man, I just love how the Holy Spirit just flows and just opens it up, and how you just listen. You're like, oh, well, I'm just gonna keep going and keep going and keep going. Like, Holy Spirit is not gonna stop you from telling your testimony, so I'm not gonna stop you from telling your testimony. So I just. Man, you let it rip, man, and I appreciate you doing that. But my name is Jeremy Duran. Of course, I don't know, the founder, whatever, No Holds. I don't even know what to say.
Good.
But and this is Kyle Miller, pretty good, real good friend of mine. I've known you. I know I didn't actually meet you until maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Something like that, and then we started hanging out more and more after that.
Yeah.
Man, awesome couple, man. If you ever get a chance to talk to Kyle or Dusty, do it. If you're ever around them, or do y'all do circles?
No, we don't do circles, but
you do have the marriage class. Man, guys, I want to encourage you, go to the marriage class. I know, and Andrea and I, we've done it before, and it was powerful. No lie, very powerful. So if you get a chance, get in contact with these guys, man, and go to this class. I know I usually start off too with a couple of questions, but I just kind of want to ask you: are you driven or are you motivated?
I think I'm driven. I mean, and I think being driven too much by something that's not God, could be a bad thing. So. I serve in children's. I serve on the marriage team. I serve as an usher at the church. I'm very active in church. I got a good relationship with God and Jesus, and that's what identifies me. Not my running, or my physical training, or my physical challenges. But I do believe that if you have a passion, like it may be running, it may be physical training, find it. You only live once. So, I'm 45 years old, going on 45. I want to live, I want to do things for people. I want to change people's lives, and I feel like I'm called to change people through physical activity. I think health is a bad issue these days. So I mean, it's just getting worse and worse. We've evolved into doing everything easy, instead of taking the dirt road and taking the hard way sometimes, and doing things that aren't necessarily your strengths, or getting a trophy for nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I encourage anybody to be active. I think God made us to be active people, and so, yeah, you could say I'm driven. Like, I think I'm driven, but I'm driven by God.
Yeah.
Like, because
Nice.
if I don't get up, like, what kind of example am I if I don't get up and go run, or if I don't go run today sometime or this week, because that's I set the bar, sometimes, like, hey, I'll help people, and I'll be like, hey, you need to do this, this, and this, and like, and then how am I going to be an example for them if I don't do it myself, right? Which I love to do it. So, yeah, I feel like I'm driven to do it, but it's a higher power that's actually driving me. It's not just me, like my personal gain, yeah, it's fun. I love being in shape. I love being able to, I love the way I feel. Man, my body I'm in the best shape I've ever been, like, in all of my life, like, absolutely the best shape. So
Nice.
I like the way, it just makes me feel good. And so, yeah, I encourage you to be active. Don't necessarily have to run 30 miles a week, but do something, find your passion, change people's, like, be somebody for God, do something that's going to change somebody's life, and you'll find a whole new purpose in life. Like, instead of just being for yourself. So
Yeah.
I
Love
think
it.
that's
Oh yeah. I can see it too. Driven, not motivated.
driven, not motivated.
Not
Because when you're
motivated.
motivated, motivation goes away.
When that music stops, that's it.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
God never stops, so you driven.
yeah, it's like David says, if you're motivated and it's 10 below zero and it's snowing outside and you go outside to run, if you're motivated, you're going to go back and get on the couch. If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
driven, you're going to go back and get a bigger coat and a hoodie, and you're going to go run.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's a huge difference.
Oh yeah, he's talking about David Goggins, man. If you ever get a chance to listen to him, if you can get by the cuss words, the cussing,
Yeah.
oh man, his testimony too, man, guys, is awesome. I'm telling you.
He is a believer, but he's an ex-Navy SEAL.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way he expresses himself is through a lot of 4-letter words, and that's just the way he is. But yeah, if you don't want to hear cussing, don't look him up. But he's got a book out. It's called Can't Hurt Me. He had a horrible childhood, and his story is just amazing. If you're not driven after, or at least motivated after reading this book or hearing his story, then you ain't gonna get motivated probably. But
no, yeah, I know you showed me him, and then after that, I was just like, dang, this guy's good. Like, he's been through a whole lot too, but man, he does have an awesome story. If you don't have to, but I'm just saying, if you really want to, man, you can get something out of his testimony for sure.
absolutely, yeah.
Well, that's all that we have for today, man. Like I said, Kyle, I appreciate our friendship, the relationship that we have, and also the relationship that, our couple, like, as marriage, it's awesome, man. We love having you guys around. It's always fun, man. Having game night and stuff. It's just
Yeah, it's fun.
UFC, everything. It's fun.
Yeah,
I encourage you guys to find people like that. Find people that will encourage you, that will sharpen you. Especially if you're married, you want to find those couples, man. And I'm telling you, you can find these guys Transformation Church. You can find them at the marriage classes, or even Kyle. If you go to the gym and you see him, go talk to him. Guarantee you, he has something to say that will encourage you, whether it's with anything in life. He has something to say. You can find me on Instagram, of course, at No Holds, and then of course Jeremy S. Duran on Instagram or on Facebook. Go to Facebook. If you're on YouTube, hey, subscribe so you'll know when the new episodes will come out. I'm sorry, I haven't had one in about a month. It's pretty much about a month. I just kind of took a break, but no, we are back now, and hopefully we can have one every week. And how can people follow you, Kyle?
Yeah, you can look me up on Instagram. My name's kind of weird, but if you search Kyle Miller, it'll pull me up. So, and Facebook, Kyle Miller. If you ever want to reach out to me, just look me up on Facebook, message me. I'll encourage you to look me up, and if you want to get into physical training, or if you want to look up marriage care, learn more about that, well, let me know. And I'll do what I can to encourage anybody. So, absolutely.
Heck yeah, man. Well, again, I appreciate you, Kyle.
Thank
Appreciate you coming on. And
thanks for doing awesome, man. It's good.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Feedback, guys. Give this man some feedback. If you receive something, man, I know you will. I know y'all will get something out of this testimony. Give him some feedback, man. Go give him a hug, or just tell him what you received. You don't have to. Me, I know sometimes I don't really get the feedback anyway. They do, and that's all that matters. This is not about me, guys. This is never about me. This is about God, and this is about their testimony. And but yeah, until next time, we out. Peace.